Hello, and welcome to Sonic Stories, a series dedicated to taking the Sonic the Hedgehog canons and combining them to create one cohesive story. This is done using the American copies of the games, the Archie and IDW comic runs, and the many various cartoons and animations released over the years. By combining the canons of the Sonic mythos, the creator of this video is telling a non-canon story, and it is not to be taken as fact over the official canon connected to the characters or world of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, nor is it meant to offend the creators of the games, comics, movies, televised programs, or any of the license holders, as it is a fan-made project. Any imagery used in the video is taken from publicly available image search engines or the World Wide Web, or come directly from the comics, in which the creator of this video took the time in order to photograph and convert for the entertainment of the viewer. This process, or the use of images from the web, cause any harm to anyone. I, as the creator of the video, would like to apologize in advance, and just know that such action was not my intent. I must reiterate that this is a fan-made, non-canon project based on existing and publicly available knowledge with the intent of telling a story less confusing than the canon story provided, as the canon story has been rewritten multiple times, retconning previous information that some still hold on to or get confused by. This is my attempt to combat said confusion and should only be taken as suggestion or as a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Now that we have that all out of the way, it's time to explain some things about this episode in particular, because it has gone through development hell. Before I do so, though, this segment goes on for a while, so if you don't want to hear me spout a bunch of stuff about the direction changes to the series, as well as why this video took so long to make, I've provided a time card in the description to the start of the video proper. In my last episode on Tails, I stated I was going to go over the Acorn family and the origin of Sally Acorn. This, however, did not end up happening. My original direction was to go over everything in order of the timeline. Doing so would require the exploration of the cast involved. However, two things came apparent when I called into question during the research phase. One, no one cares about the specifics of recurring characters outside the games. Two, Sega no longer cares about the characters outside the main cast, as the Archie comic run has been dropped entirely and replaced by the IDW run. While the same crew from the Archie run is working on the IDW run, the IDW story is additive to the events of the games, as Sega has decided that this is the new route they wish to take. Some revisions had to be made to the Sonic story's direction. As such, I've made myself some new rules. Rule number 1. I must follow the events in the timeline order of the games. Any and all information from the Archie or IDW comics are allowed to be used to add subliminal context to the characters of the stories. As most of the comics have more story elements to the character besides, they just exist, and here is where they're from and what they do with their time. While there's nothing wrong with this, it is barely a story and doesn't make for something entertaining. As such, the new precedents I take are games first, comics second, and TV shows third. Rule number 2. In some circumstances, I can take liberties with the characters, as this is a fan-made series and I am a writer. Anything I can come up with to string the events together so that it makes more sense is fine. However, I cannot stray too far off from what is given in canon sources, as it would ruin the point of the video to delve in, and would delve into fan fiction, which is not my intent. Rule number 3. Any side characters are to be explained in short form of backstory. For instance, say I was talking about Blaze the cat, I might mention Marine the raccoon. I would give a brief summary of her backstory. Rule number 4. Timeline hopping will be allowed. While I will mostly stick to the order events as presented in the games, I can and will hop to other points of the timeline in order to explain things that are relevant to that point in time. This is to keep me engaged in the project and more likely to make episodes on a faster basis. Furthermore, I must make a point to clear up where in the timeline the episode is taking place. Rule number 5. I'm going to be more clear and honest with my audience during the videos so that we can make an understanding to the overall goal of the series, in which said the goal is to tell an entertaining, complex, cohesive narrative set in the Sonic universe, based on all the events in said universe. This rule is why my intro is different and why I'm reading these rules to you now. I am also prepping for any and all events that might take place in production that might inhibit said production. Speaking on that note, when I figured out these changes, I did have an episode finished on the character that was next introduced to the Sonic world, that being Knuckles, the topic of this video. However, I did not release this video to the web due to a meme that shall go unnamed relating to the character of Knuckles. I knew that if I posted the video at this time, then it would be undermined by it, and the point of the video would be tarnished. The finished video file and the folder containing its pieces were unfortunately damaged during the transfer of said files from my old computer that I was making videos on to my far more powerful computer that I use now. As such, I had to remake this video in its entirety from scratch, which led to finding new things to add, delays to the video due to personal living conditions and medical issues, as well as mental anguish caused by anxiety and depression. I decided it would be best to take a break from Sonic Stories, reevaluate what I'm doing, and then start over from the beginning again, being as clear as possible as to why this has taken so long. And that's one of the reasons why if you hear me stutter or causing any things, that's me being more honest, because sometimes I screw up when I'm doing recordings and reading these scripts. Anyway, if you're still listening at this point and haven't skipped ahead in the previous time card I placed in the description and mentioned here in the video during the upload, I thank you for listening for this long, and I am now happy to get into the episode proper. Okay, so first off, again, if you did listen to the whole thing at the start, thanks. If you did not, don't sweat it. You don't necessarily need the info there to enjoy the video.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gonna let it get to me. I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear.
Knuckles the Echidna, powerhouse guardian of Angel Island and the sworn protector of the Master Emerald. Like Tails, this episode is hard to make, but for a very different reason. To start with the origin of Knuckles, we actually have to talk about the real world for a sec. You see, Knuckles was originally created from a character design point by Takashi Yuda and redesigned by Yuji Yukawa for the 3D era of the games. Knuckles' backstory, however, at least in the context of the United States, got its contributions from someone a little more controversial. His name, of course, is Ken Penders, the most hated man in the entire Sonic fandom. Now that I'm going to be really honest with you, like I've stated, originally this script was much longer. I hated on the man for what he did in his legal cases, cause of the comics I enjoyed the hell out of. And I will, however, praise Archie for their tactics on the matter story-wise, or at least how they dealt with the matter story-wise. With how my original videos have been made, I take no shame in what content Penders is responsible for that has been featured. Having said that, his recent actions over the course of the last 9 years need to be stopped. If you wish to read up on it, head over to sonic.wikia.com's page on the matter. They do an excellent cover over the events of this story without bias. Moving forward with the Sonic series, some of the plot elements or the rewrites using the characters, the plot elements created by Penders will be used as they have been. However, of course, I'll be doing rewrites over those things and just trying in order to mitigate some of the damage that's been done. You can go ahead and hop down into the description where I'll be including links to, of course, his biography page on sonic.wikia.com, as well as also the sections where they go over all of the legal stuff that he's been involved with since 2011. For this video, I'll be going over the key concepts and how the narrative is structured in the content of the Archie run and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, as well as some of the events from the Sonic & Knuckles game. Our story starts on Angel Island, or at least the island's creation. Back in the ancient world, the growing Echidna sentiment came across the Master Emerald. They believed it was a gift from the gods sent to them, when in reality it was a prison created to hold Chaos, an entity who has control over water and was charged with keeping an eye on and protecting the creatures known as Chow. Being neglected in his duties, his energy was removed from his godlike form by Feast, a large panda who commands energy. This energy was spread over the planet, creating the Chaos Energy Network. The reason for his doing so was on the order of Solaris, the god of the sun, punishing Chaos for his crime against the Order of the Gods, who were using the Chow to maintain life on the world they have created. Feast created collection points for the new energy network and used them to fashion a prison to hold Chaos for all eternity. This resulted in the Master Emerald, the way of its creation giving it unique attributes to disable the very collection points used to create it. The Master Emerald and its collection points were hurled towards the surface, banished from the God Realm. These collection points would later become known as Chaos Emeralds. The ancient Akinda tribe took their quote-unquote gift and created a shrine for it, using the earth around them to create stone slabs to construct such a thing. When the Master Emerald was put in place on the shrine, the ground shook violently and the energy of the emerald split the tribe's village in two, raising half the village and a large mass of land with it into a mountain-like structure before even passing that feat, breaking away from the planet entirely, leaving only a crater and ruins behind. This created the locations of the Dundra Crater and Angel Island. Figuring that the emerald was ever to be removed from the island would fall, they assigned the strongest warrior and his subsequent bloodline to guarding the shrine. They became known in their society as Guardians. Fast forward to the events before the Great War, and the once powerful Akinda race is now on the brink of extinction. Enter the Guardian Laki, spurred on by a vision told to him by the Ancient Walkers, mentioned in the Tales episode. He began experimenting on his unborn son, while he was still only an egg inside his mother. These experiments would continue after she gave birth to Knuckles on the 251st day of the Mobian year of 3220. These experiments were done without his mother's knowledge, and when she found out, she divorced Laki and subsequently vanished from Knuckles' life. The experiments resulted in increased strength, a higher base of intelligence for a child, and his signature mutation of claws on his knuckles, hence the name. Laki was relieved of duty when Knuckles turned 10, mostly due to Laki choosing self-exile in the Forbidden Zone. Knuckles was forced to take up the mantle of the Guardian, dedicating his life to the task. The modification process to his body did, however, come with unintended side effects. First of which had been more prone to intense moments of rage and aggression. And although he got a head start in his intelligence and his education is at the college level, his access to such information has seemed to have deteriorated over the years, allowing individuals like Eggman to trick him into doing things. On that matter, the Robotnik Wars have not been kind to Knuckles, or the island either, forcing Knuckles into the war and nearly leaving the Emerald unguarded on some occasions. That is, if he didn't eventually get rid of his life of isolation by making friends with Vector the Crocodile, Espio, Charmy Bee, and Mighty the Armadillo, later also taking on Ray the Flying Squirrel. Together they formed the Chaotix and helped protect the island. However, by this point, their story had only just begun. I would like to give a special thank you to everyone for waiting this long for this episode. It has been a grueling process with many changes to perspective, as well as how these stories are told. More videos, especially more Sonic Stories videos, are to come, including one that I've wanted to do since Sonic Forces was released. Strap in, because it's going to be wild. If you happen to listen to everything I said, then please let me know your thoughts on the matter in the comments down below. I am always open to feedback and willing to make changes in future videos. Sorry for the yawning, I'm recording this barely after waking up, so you might hear that throughout the recording every now and again, but again, that's me being more honest. Be sure to like you enjoyed, share it if you feel so inclined to do so, and subscribe for more, as well as hitting that little bell so you don't go subblind. Check out my Patreons for the YouTube channel and book I'm writing in the description below, and until next time, this is Team N291, signing out.